Hi, I'm Charlie, as you can see on the title slide there. I'm actually a student at Penn State Wilkes-Barre studying electrical engineering technology, but I'm also a consultant in the computing space, particularly in software, computer hardware, and other sorts of electronics. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. As you can see on the title slide, there's a picture of a yak, a Nepalese yak, in fact. And we're going to be talking about excuses and how yak shaving has to do with any of that, and maybe even a little bit of what yak shaving even means, because I'm sure all of yous are wondering what that actually means to begin with. If some of yous are familiar in the technical world or even just familiar with the term yak shaving, I might not have to explain it to you, but some of the other folks will probably need a little bit of context. So that's what we're here for in this little bit, and later on we'll kind of do an activity, a little exercise of just putting this into action with just a little silly demonstration, a little silly example here. So here we go. We see here at MIT, way back in 2000, actually even earlier than that, late 90s. Yeah, so this is probably the famous email that they sent when it comes to yak shaving, what it means. And you can pause the video if you're watching this through video to avoid having to listen to me talk like a pagan here. But I'm going to focus on a couple points on this email. First of all, a lot of folks have taken yak shaving as a pejorative, as a kind of a negative aspect, a negativity, if you will, of just getting distracted, just every step of the way in the path to accomplishing something. But what I want to focus on here in this email, you see, yak shaving is what you're doing when you're doing some stupid fiddly little task that bears no obvious relationship. And I need to focus on this no obvious relationship here because, yeah, that's where a lot of folks just kind of just take it as pejorative. But in this little exercise, we're going to take this as a positive. That's why we call this an excuse factory, because you got to come up with some excuses to do stuff, to get stuff done. It might take a little bit longer than you anticipated, but it'll work. It'll work out at some point. And if it doesn't, well, you played, you tried, you played, you broke something maybe, or maybe not, but you learned something. So the best example actually in this email is the latter one. Another example of yak shaving, asking about the group project and being hard to track down, but that person's going to be at so-and-so, some event, as you can see with these, with the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce events or the downtown events or whatever. Yeah, you might know maybe one of your friends might be at some event, and you need to catch up with them on whatever project, or you just want to hang out with them. But it's just like you're trying to schedule something, a little hangout or whatever. They just don't bite. But like they're still friends and all that stuff. But they might not bite. But if you know that they're going to be at so and so event, maybe at this conference, maybe at the mixer last night, maybe somewhere else, maybe at the hockey game, at the Pens game or something like that. Yeah, sure, that's an excuse. Let's hang out and, just take care of what you got to take care of. So in this case, they're talking about GSB and blah, 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 blah. And we'll be connected to your project via the process of yak shaving. You kind of came up with an excuse or a few excuses, and it works out. So now you've been introduced to a term like Jeremy H. Brown has told you, and we can kind of go on to a little bit. Oh, shout out Girl Scout back in 2000. The Girl Scouts, they still do good work, and yeah, the cookies are pretty good too. 5:30 p.m. at the Playroom if you are time traveling. So I came across this paper. This was published back in 2019 or so, but someone reposted this on Twitter like the other day, and it talks about just the different different motivations of teaming, different ways of extracting great performance or getting a task done. And you can read the print at the link if you again pause the video or figure out a way to get that into your web browser somehow. But they talk about how depending on how you structure it, if it's based on learning, just teams learning from and with one another versus trying to just do some performance stuff, you might see some better results. But I just wanted to put this in here because that ties right in hand with with all the excuses that you're gonna come up with, and by extension the yak shaving, just getting stuff done. But you might have a little roundabout way of doing it, but you'll definitely learn something. So give that a read. It might be interesting. So this is where we go into the interactive, live activity, or the live demo, as I took a picture back in BSDCan 2018. Yeah, it certainly cannot fail worse than Windows 98. In fact, I would like it to fail, because we've learned something, or we will be learning something. But yeah, just enjoy the activity, and we'll see what we come up with.